Welcome back to the JMach Podcast. Today I'd like to introduce U.S. Navy veteran Christopher Boats Oshana. Welcome to the show, brother.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Yeah, no, I appreciate you coming out. I know you're a little tired today from all your traveling, but grateful for you being here.
I'm very grateful myself.
Awesome. Let's just jump right in. Could you tell me a little bit about your childhood?
Childhood was, I grew up in Vermont.
Okay.
Not much around at all.
Country life?
Country's not the word for it.
Okay.
We used to walk, literally that old saying, walked uphill both ways to go to school.
Barefoot in the snowstorm?
Well, not barefoot anyways, fortunately. About a mile to the bus stop.
Okay.
It was wasn't the greatest, but I had fun.
What would you say that wasn't the greatest about your childhood?
Dang, now you're jumping right into wicked questions.
To the heart.
Yeah.
He's from Boston, so that's where the wicked comes from.
Well, not in New England
Close
anyways.
enough.
Yeah. Well, it wasn't the greatest. Before I go into that, and I got to say this, I just buried both my parents on Saturday. That's the reason why I was back east. Mom and Dad were alcoholics.
Okay.
So very, 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 very strict. Wouldn't let anything pass at all. That was my worst growing up.
Okay. I'm sorry again to hear about your parents.
Thank you.
And thank you for coming straight here after that.
Oh, my pleasure.
What is something that has helped you cope with that?
My photography.
Okay.
About 2003. No, my girls were 2. They were born in 2004. So 2007-ish. I picked up a camera, started taking photos. And a friend of mine, I was taking pictures, as a matter of fact, for my parents of my kids around the Christmas tree. And my friend at work, she goes, "Dude, this has got to go in to a photo contest." And I'm like, "Get out of here." She goes, if you don't do it, I'm going to do it for you. So that's my coping mechanism now. And yes, they did choose the photo. It was put in their annual first picture ever submitting it into a contest.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
What do you like to take photos of?
My favorite is landscape.
Okay.
Don't have to talk to anybody. I can just take the photo. You know what I mean? But I have a huge passion project that's near and dear to my heart. In 2013, I was using my Montgomery GI Bill, the post 9/11 GI Bill, and won a grant for the good at the Minorcad, which was a photography studio and gallery on Roosevelt Road. And I was just taking pictures of the older buildings in town, and the studio is downtown Phoenix. I mean, literally 2nd Avenue and 2nd Street and Roosevelt. I live out in Goodyear. I was first choice, but I didn't get it because I lived 30 miles away.
Okay.
You know, and Wayne, the owner of the studio at the time, he was like, is he going to use it being that far away? And at the time, he didn't really know that I worked literally two miles down the road in downtown Phoenix. I was working for the U.S. Army as a civil service federal employee at the recruiting district or recruiting battalion. And it was 10 minutes. I get off of work at 2 o'clock and head over to the studio. So he didn't know at the time. But 6 months after that, he calls me up and says, "Hey, you still interested in this grant?" And I'm like, "Oh, heck yeah." So I went back down. We chatted a little bit, and we started talking. And come to find out, he was a veteran. And so we started chit chatting. He goes, "Well, why don't you photograph wounded warriors?" And I'm like, I don't want to sound trite, but everybody knows. And especially in 2013, everybody knew what a wounded warrior looked like with the scars, the amputations, you know, and all that. So I was like, why not PTSD? Nobody knows what it looks like because it looks like everybody else.
Right.
You know, even though those wounded warriors have PTSD, nobody knows what it looks like. So I've been photographing the veterans now, taking down their stories, learning how the processes, and I'm doing this all by myself.
I have a question now.
Yes.
For the Super Bowl, were you taking pictures at the MVP Super Bowl meetup?
No.
No?
Now, the MVP meetup.
Merging vets and players?
I am part of merging vets and players.
Because your face looks familiar to me. And like I know I've been talking to you on social media, so I see your face there. But like I feel like I've seen you before. And then you bring up taking pictures of people. And I remember it was like at like the ASU campus, like off campus.
Yeah. And we did a workout.
Bracelets, yeah.
Yep. We did a workout over there at ASU, and yeah, I was taking photos and I'm volunteering for them.
So I remember you. I was at that.
Okay.
That's the one time
Very
I
good.
went. Yeah.
Yeah.
So back on. Sorry.
Okay.
So I love that mission. It's such a cool idea to photograph what PTSD looks like because it could be that person over there smiling, it could be that person crying, and everything in between.
Exactly.
So how's that going for you?
It's a difficult road because I'm not a nonprofit. Every single bit comes out of my pocket. Just to get the veterans at first, I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing.
Right.
Let's back up a little bit. When I first started taking the photos, I had never used studio lighting at all. So I knew nothing about studio lighting. So I had to start taking photos in the studio, 1 light, 2 light, 3 light setups, and all that, just to figure out where to set lights and all that. So I had a couple of veteran friends sit in for me as I'm taking these photos. And the next piece was, once I got comfortable, the next piece was actually getting the veterans to come in. So I started putting up Craigslist ads, word of mouth. Facebook has been great for it. Any other social media at the time that I had, I'm just working that deal. And it's extremely difficult because, for one, PTSD is very personal.
Right.
Nobody just wants to come out and say something, you know. The next thing I had to do was literally figure out what photo to show. Because our session that I would sit down with an interview that I would do could take 30 minutes. It could take as long as 4 hours. It just depends on me and the veteran. As a matter of fact, actually, my last veteran that I photographed, good friend of mine, Brian Kincaid, his and my session lasted 6 hours.
Okay.
Granted, we're talking, I'm interviewing, but yet then at the same time, we're going to take a break because there's certain points that you see when you're talking to these vets that, yep, you need to take a break.
Right.
Well, and I smoke. I know it's bad, but I do. So did he. So does he. So we would stop, have a cigarette, regroup, and go sit back down. But yeah, 6 hours was the last.
Do you record these conversations or?
I have started doing that at first. When I very first started, oh my God, I was so ignorant to the process, and I would rely on my memory.
Yeah.
It never worked. But for the first 10, I probably got like 3 decent stories out of it. Once I started thinking, what do? I started recording, trying to record. And again, like I said, I do this all by myself. Nobody else helps with it, with the process. So the veteran would come in, we'd sit down, and I'd just start photographing and forget to turn on the camera. Because I was using, I had a second body at the time. It wasn't the greatest. So the battery would go quick, or just stupid stuff.
Right.
And everything. But the last 5 or 6, I've been able to do a very good job at ensuring that I'm recording it. I'm using a DJI Action Cam now for it to get their stories. And then after I get that, then I take it into DaVinci editing software for videos and transcribe it. But then it's taken a lot of time out of the transcription, because some of the old transcription, it was listen to it, rewind, listen, rewind, write it down. And it would take me a week and a half to do it. Now it takes me 15 minutes to download it and transcribe it. But I'm still having some issues to where I still have to go back and forth, because it's not the greatest transcription. So
Nothing's perfect.
Yeah.
I think it sounds like you're being a little too hard on yourself, because it's all trial and error and growth.
Oh, yeah.
So when I first started this podcast, I wasn't even recording the video. I was doing just audio only.
Uh-huh.
And I was going on Zoom so we could have that conversation.
Right.
But I'd only record the audio. But it was just me holding myself back, because I didn't want to be on camera. I wasn't ready yet. And so we evolved, and now we have an amazing audio engineer, Corey. And he does all the amazing edits for our videos and everything. So huge shout out to him.
Yep.
Thank you. Sorry. Thanks.
Well, I was coughing.
That.
Yeah. You're welcome.
You wanted me to talk over it. I gotcha.
Well, I'd rather cough at you than the guest, all right?
I'll take it.
Yeah. But what I'm getting at is, it sounds like that you have a podcast on top of your digital, like photos taking and all that.
Not a podcast. I have an online website for it. I authored a book of the first 10 photos.
Oh, cool.
It's not the greatest. Again,
it's
a start. It's new things. And then in 2018, I was like, holy crap, why not do a dang documentary on this? So I crowdsourced $5,000.
Okay.
Took 4, 5, 6 veterans, up to 4 veterans, and then a clinician, if you would, because I don't know what I'm doing. I've never gone to school for none of this stuff, so God forbid something happens, somebody's there to help me out.
Right.
And then and a videographer, PJ Zabo, he was an amazing guy. I tried to do all this with veterans only. My veteran friends that are videographers couldn't make the trip. So PJ was, for lack of better words, the next best thing to a veteran. His brother's a veteran who also has PTSD. So he knew when to be in the middle of something, when to talk, when to ask a question or whatnot. His interviewing skills were phenomenal already. So he did an amazing job. Unfortunately, $5,000 isn't going to get you much.
Right.
So, but it was a great weekend that we had.
Yeah, so what'd you do? You just went somewhere and filmed, or what?
Yeah, we went to Clear Creek Campground up in Camp Verde. And we set up tents. I brought my mother and father-in-law's camper up there for our clinician and to keep our stuff dry and all that good stuff. And during the day, we hiked. Pardon the expression, we fucked around for most of the day, had a good time. And then in the evening, the first evening, we sat around campfire and we talked about PTSD, all the bad stuff. Had some beers, so on and so forth. Just really relaxed atmosphere. And then the following day, Sunday morning, we all got up, had breakfast, community breakfast, if you would. We all helped in, we all pitched in, cooking and everything. And then, again, did the same thing, screwed around all day, played, went hiking, photo taking, all that good stuff. And then that evening, again, we sat around the campfire and we talked about the good that those veterans are getting out of their PTSD, their treatments, and so on and so forth.
Okay. What are some good things? What's a good way to look at PTSD?
A good way to look at PTSD? Wow, there is no good way.
Right. Well, you said what some good things.
Oh, some of the good things, some of the treatments that each one of them have been doing, their own specific personal growth that they've achieved themselves, whether it's picking up the camera. One of my buddies, Brian, in the project, his name's Badger, and Badger just started doing photography himself. And oh my God, he is an amazing, amazing photographer. He's gone to Iceland to take photos all around the four quad states right here, Colorado, Utah, Arizona, New Mexico, taking photos. He's just amazing.
Okay. And while we're on the topic of PTSD, what is some good things that people can do to help somebody with PTSD?
The one good thing that they can do is listen. A lot of the veterans have told me that when they're in counseling or whatnot, the doc wants to interrupt their thought process. Don't interrupt that thought process. Let them speak until they're done. Just listen to them.
Okay. And so about your photography, what kind of cameras do you use? Is it newer? So do you use digital cameras? Or okay.
I use a Canon 5D Mark IV.
Okay. And correct, I'm sorry if I asked you this already, but what got you into photography? Like where'd the I want to pick up a camera start from?
You know what? Back in 1985, I bought my first camera, and I loved it. It was a Pentax K1000, and it just got the bug into me. And then somebody liked my camera better than I did, and I had an Evolution I was doing on the ship, and just tucked it away. Mm-hmm. Somebody found it, of course. I don't have it. They stole it.
Yeah.
And then eventually, when my late wife and I were having my youngest twins, bought a digital. Okay. Because I got to take pictures, and it's the easiest thing, It was easy,
Right.
But now with this, with my Canon, of course, it's gotten a lot more difficult, a lot more technical, and everything.
Okay. So let's jump back a little bit in your life and go back to what was high school like?
High school wasn't great. I was actually picked on a lot. can't tell right now, I'm wearing dentures, but I had buck teeth.
Okay.
So everybody made fun of me. They called me woodchuck. I lived so far away from the school anyways, like 25 miles, so I couldn't even do any of the after-school sports or anything like that because I couldn't get home. Also, part of that was because my father had 3 back surgeries for slip discs, and so he was on Social Security, SSI, Social Security insurance for since I was in the 5th grade. So.
Okay. What led you to wanting to join the military?
Oh my God, that's a dang good question. In my sophomore year in high school, I was going through my dad's World War II Time Life books, and it showed the CB symbol, and I was like, that's what I'm going to do when I graduate high school.
Okay, so your dad was in as well?
My dad was in the Air Force, but he got kicked out.
Okay.
Specifics why he got kicked out, I still don't know. Have never seen his DD-214 or anything of his service.
Okay. And so, did you leave right after high school?
Oh, I left. I went and, as a matter of fact, what's today? Today's the 6th. In 9 days.
Okay.
40 years ago, in 9 days, is when I signed my contract.
Awesome.
To join the service, but I didn't ship out until December.
Okay.
Again, I said I was going to be a CB. That's my original contract, to be a steel worker, but it was 11 months out. I'm in Vermont, no work, no nothing. So I called my recruiter and says, Ted, hook me up. And yes, I remember his name vividly, and he was a MS1 with a cook. He was a cook, petty officer first class, Ted Medill. So I gave him a call probably in June. I'm like, dude, I can't wait. He goes, what do you want to do? I'm like, I don't know, just anything. How about fire control technician? Okay. So I renegotiated my contract in December 10th. I shipped off to boot camp.
And how was boot camp for you?
It was easy. After growing up with not the greatest childhood, it was easy as heck. You know, I mean, shoot, the PT, that was nothing because, again, growing up in Vermont, we're always out and about playing. You know, I had no worries about that. It was boot camp was great. Everybody worries about the drill instructor yelling at you. Whatever.
It was nothing compared to your parents.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and not only that, it was like he wasn't directly yelling at me. He was making sure everybody else knew not to make that same mistake.
Right.
And that's how I took it the entire time.
Okay, so after boot camp, what was it like for you?
A little scary because I had never been away from my parents, you know, but never been out of the state of Vermont. You know, my first duty station was Virginia. It was the USS Sylvania. And then, as a matter of fact, within 3 weeks, we were going out on our deployment. So I got to the ship. 3 weeks later, I was in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean going to the Mediterranean.
And how was that first deployment, especially being so quick into the fleet?
Oh, dude, I enjoyed it. I literally enjoyed it, going places I've never been.
Right.
You know, I started getting used to being on my own. You know, I made friends. As a matter of fact, I still have some of those friends from my first ship that I'm still in contact with via Facebook or just talked to a friend of mine a couple of days ago from my first ship.
With those friendships, do you feel like military friendships and like good childhood high school friendships are different as to where you have to put less effort into a military friendship but able to pick it up just as easy as you left off?
That's a very good question. And yes. 2.5 years ago, my wife passed away. Metastatic breast cancer. Half of her ashes I spread out in Camp Pendleton over at San Onofre Beach. The other half are in Virginia Beach.
Okay.
When I went back to Virginia Beach to spread her ashes, I had dinner with a buddy of mine I haven't seen in 20 some odd years. And it was nothing. I brought my twin girls with me, and they were amazed. You know, like, Dad, what the heck was that? I'm like, what do you mean? You haven't seen them in 20 some odd years. It was like nothing. Well, that's how we are. You know, we're family.
Right.
You know, and the guy that I had dinner with, Sebastian, he was actually the catalyst for me and my late wife getting together.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
Circle.
it was crazy.
That is crazy.
Yeah.
Why do you think that is that we're able to connect on that level?
You know, I truly wish I had a good answer for that. It's the amount of time. I have to think that it's the time we spend together ensuring that we come home in one piece. You know, I've told that people on that military and veterans have a weird relationship. We may not like the guy on our right, but we love the guy on our left, but we're still going to ensure the guy on our right, even though we hate him, we're still going to make sure he comes home to his family.
Right.
You know, it is a weird but amazing thing.
Yeah, a lot of people compare it to like it's just like a brother and sister or a sibling relationship. Like you can hate on them, pick on them all you want,
Yep.
but as soon as somebody else does, like we're on the same team all of a sudden. We go from hating each other to being best friends and kicking ass.
Yeah.
You know? So
Oh, yeah.
it's very interesting.
Yeah.
And how long were you in the Navy for?
I was in the Navy for 20 years.
Okay.
Correction. 20 years, 21 days.
All right. Well, congratulations and
Thank
thank you
you
for your service.
Thank you.
I take it you spent half at Virginia Beach and the other half Pendleton?
No, 16 years out of the Norfolk, Virginia Beach area.
Okay.
Then I met my wife, and she wanted to come home. And she herself is from Goodyear.
Okay.
And I was like, so where do you want to go? I'm up for orders. Where do you want to go? I want to go home. Okay, let's see what I can do. I just happened to have a friend of mine that was my detailer who helps you pick your orders and gives you your orders. And where do you want to go? I want to go to Phoenix. There's nothing in Phoenix except for recruiting. I'll take recruiting then. And needless to say, it's supposed to be career enhancing.
Didn't go that way.
No, I got stuck in Silver City, New Mexico.
Okay.
I had 15,000 square miles of area to cover. My largest high school class was 250, and the smallest class was 8.
Damn.
Yeah.
So not a lot.
No. But I got there, and it was extremely difficult in Silver City because of a very small mining town. Literally everybody knew everybody. And it wasn't a place for me to be because I knew nobody. And once my wife got there, she got a job real quick, but it didn't last long. And I started talking to the chain of command. And it's like, hey, I need to get out of Silver City. I've gone through my savings. If you look to become a recruiter in the Navy, anyways, you have to have a financial. They look at your finances to ensure you can be out there by yourself. because there's no military base close by. The closest one was down in San Antonio. Down in El Paso, and that's still 110 miles, 115 miles away from the house. I'm not readily available to just go talk to personnel. So finally, eventually, they got me into Christown Mall. Spent a year at Christown Mall, and then they asked me to go downtown to the actual MEPS, Military Entrance Processing Station, and actually write the Navy contracts. So that's what I did. Okay. And then I retired from there.
Okay. What would you say are some challenges that you faced throughout the Navy besides recruiting?
Support.
Coming from within the Navy or family and friends?
Family.
Okay.
Not my immediate brothers and sisters support. Just support from my parents. In my 20-year career, I think I got 3 phone calls.
That had to be hard.
Yeah. Yep.
Looking back now, what would you tell your younger self to help you get through that?
I don't know. That one I truly won't know. Just do it. And unfortunately, that's what I'd have to say. Just do it. You're a grown man. You don't need anybody anymore. Just do it.
Okay. And did you decide 20 years was enough? How did you decide to retire or get out?
I couldn't make the E7. I was at higher tenure. I could have gone a little bit longer. During that recruiting time, I had a second detailer that was a friend of mine that worked for me. And he was like, dude, I can get you to Yokosuka, Japan, onto the USS Kitty Hawk. 2-year tour, unaccompanied. And I'm like, nope. I'm not leaving my family behind. And so fortunately, it was a good thing. My daughters were 6 months old at the time, and literally we just found out that my late wife had her first bout with breast cancer.
That had to be hard. I mean, it had to be an easy decision to get out. I can't even say that, honestly, because that was 20 years of your life.
Yeah.
And how have you been able to handle the transition from getting out?
I honestly, for me, the transition's been easy, except for the first year. The first year, I worked literally as a ditch digger. I was a general laborer for an excavating company that my father-in-law had worked at for years. So I dug ditches until the Army and the Navy were hiring civilians to do certain jobs, and the Army hired me first. So I went from working in the Navy for 20 years to now I've been working for Phoenix Recruiting Battalion for the last 18 years.
What do you do?
Quality control contracts, ensure waivers are done correctly, and then send them up. Make sure everybody's shipping out that needs to be shipped out.
Is that like the same thing you did while you were in?
Yeah, my last year, yeah.
Do you like it better as in the Navy or as a civilian?
I think I'd like it. At first, as a civilian, it was great. But I've been doing it for so long, and things have just gotten redundant. But on the good side, I got 5 years left, and I can retire again.
Again. That's nice.
Yeah,
congratulations.
Yeah.
What are some tools that help you when you're struggling out in the community?
My tool that I use, besides photography, is my MVP, my merging vets and players.
Okay.
You know, every Wednesday night we have our huddle. It's a 30-minute workout, and then we have a 30 to 45-minute peer-to-peer support group, and we just talk. Good, the bad, the ugly. If we need a clinician, we have a clinician on staff for merging vets and players. All you got to do is make a phone call, and they're there to help you out.
That's amazing. How did you get involved with them?
A friend of mine, Andrew, he was going to sit down for me with my PTSD project. So he and I have known each other for 10 years, and he was the original program manager for Phoenix. Gave me a call and says, "Hey, we got this merging vets and players coming to Phoenix. Would you like to be part of it?" And I'm like, "Oh, heck yeah." So I've been one of the original for Phoenix.
That's awesome.
Yep.
Do you do any other veteran groups or anything else in the community?
I'm part of the Wounded Warrior Project, but I've only done one thing with them, and that was probably 10 years ago. I did the Soldiers Ride that was here, that they had U-Haul put on here in Phoenix.
Okay. What's some advice that you would tell yourself while you were preparing to get out?
Oh, shoot. I didn't have time to think. I didn't advise me anything. Because I waited until the very last minute to make that decision, because I was trying to make E7. And the results for E7 in the Navy come out in August. It was August 16th. And there was a month time frame to where the new E7s would get indoctrinated, if you would, and then they'd have their initiation and all that good stuff. But I was under the impression that I was going to be in for another 10 years. I wanted to be Navy. And as a matter of fact, during the initiation process for the chiefs, where they do it off-site, out of town, and it's a private thing, one of the chief that I worked for said the Navy is doing a huge injustice by not making you a chief. I'm like, what the hell do you mean by that? He goes, dude, if you croaked right now and they did an autopsy on you, the only thing you'd be doing is bleeding blue and gold and U.S. Navy just coming all out of you. And I'm like, oh, wow, thanks. But so advice-wise, I couldn't. I had so many things to worry about for getting out than anything else, and that was it.
Talking about now, yeah.
But now,
Yes, sir.
Oh, Lord have mercy. Because since now that I've been working for the Army now for 18 years, and I've seen people come and go, people retiring and all that, go to the VA, get stuff documented in your record. The last 2 years, you need to go to the VA or go to medical.
Medical, yeah.
Get it freaking documented. Document.
Even the smallest thing.
Even the smallest things. And then during the process with the VA, when you're talking to one of the counselors, or you go and see a doc, or you're hearing or whatnot, don't talk about how you feel right this second, because you could feel great. You have to talk about your worst day, when you can't even get up out of bed because your back is killing you, your knees are freaking sore as heck, they're all swollen, you know. That's what you have to talk about.
Yes, sir. I think it's even in the handbook. I'm not sure. I haven't researched it myself, but pretty sure the doctors are supposed to tell you, like, tell me your worst pain day, not like how you're feeling right now.
Yeah,
But that's lost in translation.
and that's what they ask. But you as the veteran that's walking out, no, I'm not going to do none of that stuff. No.
We got to let our pride and egos go.
Yeah.
You know, like in the military, you have to be tough. That's what makes you a great military personnel,
Yeah.
right? Is like you're tough. You don't let things bother you. You don't go to medical.
Mm-hmm.
This is for a short period of time of your life that you're going to fuck up the rest of your life for if you don't take care of your body or your mind throughout the whole process, right? And so if you have a leader telling you, don't go to medical, don't do this, don't do that.
Yeah.
As long as you need to go to medical and you're hurt, go to fucking medical.
Yep. My daughter's ex-boyfriend, great kid. I tell him, he's been in the Navy now for 3 years. Dude, you get hurt, go to medical. Go to medical. Go to medical. It's not going to look bad on you.
Right.
Because back in the day, for me, oh, you're malingering. You don't need to be going to medical. You're just freaking...
Trying to scam.
Yeah, you're scamming the system. Yeah. And then it's like, but still, back then, 2 800 milligram Motrins, call me in the morning. You'll be fine.
Right.
You know.
Change your socks, drink some water.
Yeah.
And then, like, it's usually your higher ups that are giving you shit about it. But look at how miserable and hurt they are because they were told the same thing and they didn't go take care of their body.
Yeah.
And so now they hate life because they're just in pain from the second they wake up to the second they go to sleep. So now they're trying to put you through that process.
Yeah.
Like, we have to be smarter than that. I'm not saying disobey an order.
No. Yeah. You know what? The leaders nowadays that I've come across now, they are all pushing. Hey, you don't feel good? Go to medical. Don't worry about it. You need to go to medical. Go to medical.
Right.
You know, somebody back in the day, we used to always we have a cold. We're gonna push through it. Go to work. Go push through it. Nowadays, it's like no. Go home, relax, get under the bed, under the covers, drink some hot tea and drink some water, and then once you feel better, then come back to work. Right. Especially in recruiting. And in recruiting, it's a whole different animal than being out there in the field or out in the fleet.
Do you feel like being a recruiter almost gave you a sense of what it was like to be a civilian again, but while still working for the military? And I'm saying that because, like you said, the recruiters out in the wild all by themselves. Like they're very rarely are they close to a military base or other military personnel. I think probably in recruiters, you probably have the other branches recruiters in that area.
Oh,
then that's about it.
Yeah, exactly. And yeah, it did give me a sense, but yet at the same time it didn't because I was still so military. I'm getting ready to go again from recruiting to the next ship. And that was my full intentions on doing.
So you were able to keep that mindset of what's next, not just what's in front of you.
Exactly.
Okay, so that probably helped you stay in shape, stay along the guidelines, because we all know some recruiters like to slip a little bit.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I've seen a bunch of them slip.
Yeah. And looking in perspective and retrospect or whatever I want to use, right? I could kind of understand why that happens in a sense because you go from losing that peer-to-peer support daily by the hundreds to now, if you're not married, you're out there pretty much alone.
Oh, yeah.
And you don't have anybody that, like, aligns with you. Their mission's not the same. And all that. So I can understand it, and it's got to take a strong mental approach to stay on it.
Here, especially in the rural recruiting, when you're a metro recruiter, you still have headquarters right here. You got your stations are not that far away from each other, and you can still have that camaraderie with them together. And fortunately, we have Luke Air Force Base right down the road, so you can just go down to Luke. You know, I mean, I've played softball out on Luke before, and it was that helped me a lot.
You know, a pet peeve of mine that you do too, I'm sure.
What's that?
Going out in town in your camis. I can't stand that.
Yeah.
I wasn't allowed to.
No, yes.
In the Marine Corps, we're not allowed to.
Right.
So, like, when I see people at grocery stores or restaurants or anywhere in their camis, like,
Yeah.
can you fucking change?
You know what really irritates me nowadays? They changed recently in the last 3 or 4 years some of the grooming standards.
Okay.
Females are allowed to have just a ponytail instead of having it up in a bun and looking neat and clean. The men don't have to really shave. That is okay nowadays, you know, and those are the pieces and parts that really get on my nerve, you know.
Yeah. And it's crazy, though, because, like, you think, like, okay, well, why do you have to shave? Why do you have to have your hair put up? Like, why do all those things matter? And, like, sometimes in the moment, you don't really realize why they matter.
Yep.
But everything plays a role, whether it's attention to detail, looking uniforms, being clean, and just everybody is aligned.
Yep.
So,
Yeah. Exactly.
It's a huge difference. What are some things about the VA that you like?
There's not very much of the VA that I like at all.
Okay, what are a couple things from the VA that you think could or should or need to be changed?
They need to get people in the VA that truly care about the veterans and not it being a 9-to-5 job.
Right.
So prior military, non-veterans, I don't think should be in there. Or be able to get rid of them if they need be. Because if they're not showing their support, they shouldn't be in there.
Right. And so other than hiring veterans or spouses, what are some ways you feel that could fix the VA?
Getting the actual politicians out of there, for one. Making the money that goes into each one of the VAs equal across the board. Because people in the Massachusetts VA, the freaking South Carolina VA, our VA, each one of those, just those three, they don't get the same amount per veteran. It is run state by state, which it's a federal agency. It should be under one roof and not 50 different
So it
roofs.
should be universal.
Yep.
And like, it's almost like we should be able to go to any VA without having hiccups.
Yeah, because as a matter of fact, my being up in Vermont, first time I've seen my aunt and uncle in years. My uncle is a Vietnam vet, and he was going from Connecticut to South Carolina, and the two systems weren't speaking together because of them being in two different states. So if we had, that's another thing, is one computer system that worked for all 50 states to where each one can say, oh, yep, this is what he needs, then we can fix it down here.
That's a wild thing that I learned is that, you think you're in the system, you're in the database, everybody now has that information.
Yep.
But no, just that business or just that VA has that information, that it's not like spread. Like, it's interesting to me.
And that's the piece where that's why it's state by state, and that's not right.
Right.
Because if I decide to go to Connecticut to live, they won't have me in the system, and I'm like, why not? Everybody in the military is in the same system. Why can't the VA be all in one system?
Right. What are some unhealthy coping mechanisms that you have used throughout your your life or military experience?
Drinking.
Well, I mean, you sign that contract, you're automatically a
Yeah.
contractual alcoholic, I like to call it.
Drinking was the main. Um, my wife passed away 2.5 years ago, so 3 years before she passed away, almost 4 years before she passed away. We almost got divorced because of my drinking.
Okay.
And I wasn't an abusive alcoholic. I wasn't a bad guy. I'd be drink. I get done with one beer. Oh, it's like drinking soda, and you never feel it. And then all of a sudden, it's like boom. So we were at one of my best buddies' house for a Super Bowl party. I had been there since like 9 o'clock in the morning because we had a poker tournament beforehand. Yes, I won. After that, my wife came out for the Super Bowl with my girls, and I was already 3 sheets to the wind. And by halftime, without saying anything to anybody, I just walked out, got into the back end of the truck, and passed out in the bed of the truck. Wife went looking for me, and she goes, "Dude, I'm done. You either stop drinking or we're done." And it took a long time.
What has helped you with stopping or decreasing drinking?
That alone. I didn't want to lose what I had earned or gained or worked for. And at that time, it was 20 years or 18 years that the wife and I had been married. So I didn't want to lose that.
Right. But during the time, so are you sober?
No, I drink. I was not drinking all the way up until probably 6 months before my wife passed away. She was like, "Dude, go get yourself a bottle of bourbon. You need to relax. You're super, super spun." And at the same time, I had stopped taking photos. For one, we had COVID at the time, and my life was my wife, trying to make sure she was taken care of. Now, granted, at the beginning, it wasn't. She had cancer at first. It's not. She was functional, but then it was started to get. Well, then she started getting weaker, and I needed to focus on her. I had to make sure the house was clean, do the housework because she wouldn't be able to do it. For me to make sure my girls were fed, make sure they got to school, make sure everything ran and worked at the same time. So I was. My world was like close, and nothing else mattered. And then my wife brought about 6 months before she passed. She goes, "Dude, go get yourself a bottle, have a drink, relax." And nowadays I drink 1, maybe 2 a night, maybe, of every other night, maybe.
Was it easy? Were you able to just quit cold turkey, or did you?
Oh
struggle?
yeah, I did. I stopped cold turkey.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and then again, then fucking cancer came about. And,
I'm sorry to hear about all that.
no, thank you.
I appreciate you coming on here and sharing your story.
Cool.
So, do you want to talk about your struggles or challenges with PTSD?
I haven't been diagnosed. I'm diagnosed, but my PTSD deals with watching this part you didn't know yet. Before my twins were born, a year and a few months before they were born, I had stillborn twins.
It's rough.
That's what my PTSD is from.
See, so I understand that anybody can have PTSD.
Yep.
And I think there's a huge separation. For me, especially when I was younger, I only thought PTSD was for the military. for all that, right? Obviously, it honestly took me until I was in to recognize that anybody could have PTSD.
Right.
And although I'm sure PTSD may have different dynamics, whether it's military related or not, I feel like it doesn't matter if it's military or not. Like PTSD is PTSD.
You can get PTSD. It's a traumatic experience in your life.
Right. So, but I feel like you just tried to play your PTSD down because it's may not be from the Navy, and that's what you're going for.
No, I'm not playing it down, but it's. I've learned. I don't know how I've learned to cope with everything with life through the loss of my wife. I don't take things for granted as much as I did before she passed away or before my kids passed away. You know, it's taken me a long time to understand this. And then with me doing my PTSD, the Invisible Scar, my project, that has also helped me realize there's more to life. And then this past weekend, learning more because of burying my parents, being able to, dude, this was the first trip I've made by myself alone since my wife had passed away. And I don't consider going to Flagstaff to see my mother and father-in-law. It was overnight. You know, I don't consider those trips. I was literally gone for a week, hung out in Vermont and New Hampshire. My first trip to be able to grieve, process all that loss. And shoot, last year, I lost one of my best friends. It was three of us. Me, Rich, and Chris. Chris passed away last year. So it was like I'm bringing him into the mix was another thing that I needed to learn to cope with. And going up there alone, I was able to do that.
Congratulations on being able to get out there by yourself, because that's scary, especially after going so long not doing it.
Yeah. Yep.
So I'm very proud of you. And thank you for sharing. What are some tools that helped you get there?
Being able to be vulnerable, being able to talk. You know, merging vets and players has helped me be able to talk more. It used to be right here. Nobody needs to know what goes on beyond this door. They opened up that door for me to be able to talk to other people.
Okay. And can we talk about how life was shortly after your wife passed away? Like, because that probably had to put you into a dark spot.
You know, it did, but yet at the same time, I had 17-year-old daughters at the house. I couldn't worry about them. I mean, I couldn't worry about anything else but them. March of 21, my wife's oncologist said, you have to retire. She was a school teacher for Avondale School District. The doc said, you're done. You need to retire. The stress is not good for you. You need to retire. She was 1 year shy of being vested in having a retirement. She's the one that did everything to make sure I was good to go. She put the house in COVID forbearance for us. So she was doing everything and anything she could because she, in my opinion, she knew. So my dark spot was ensuring my girls had everything that they needed. Once she passed away, literally 4 days, 5 days, 6 days. The 1st of January of 22, the COVID forbearance came, it matured or whatever they call it. And I had to start going through and refinancing or financing or getting the house straightened away again. Fortunately, Beth had taken care of it. All I had to do was talk to the dang mortgage company. Sucked, but it took me 9 months to get 100% straight. The girls' Social Security was another fiasco because of COVID. They didn't get their stuff straightened out until after they were 18, which was a pain in the ass because, we can't talk to you. We have to talk to the girls because they're 18. I'm like, oh my God, they don't know what to ask. Well, have them there and then have them say, yes, you can talk about it. I was like, oh my Lord. So hours, oh my Lord, the hours I was on the goddamn phone. Things were, they were difficult. Trying to make sure everything. Dude, I didn't even know what Zelle was.
Okay.
I had $20 in my pocket. I had an allowance. I had $40 to $60 a week that was in my pocket. Somebody said, "Hey, you need $5 for a donation for somebody's going away." Oh, okay. Here's $5. So I had the money on me. Now the girls were like, "Dad, can you give me some money?" And I'm like, "I don't have any money." Well, Zelle it to me. How do I do that? And so they took the phone and they started showing me how to send money to them.
How were you able to take care of yourself during those times? Or post those times, realizing you needed to take care of yourself?
Hence, that was this time.
Okay.
This was the first time. The last 5 months, I'm starting to learn I have to take care of myself. I've gotten on I used to ride bikes all the time, mountain bike and road bike. I was mountain biking, and then all my friends were leaving that were in the Navy, so I got onto a road bike. So I started riding it, and then cancer, so I stopped riding. I stopped riding. So the last 5 months, I've gotten back on my bicycle. I'm riding 7-8 miles a day, or
That's
not
awesome.
a day, about 3 times a week.
Okay.
Going to my MVP stuff. But MVP is also another one that's made me realize that I need to be here for myself as well as my family and kids.
Yes, sir. What does grieving look like for you?
Oh. Dude, that's a big, huge question. I really don't know. I can't answer that.
Okay.
I truly can't.
That's okay, because I didn't think I was going to word it something like, if you can even put it in words.
I can't. I got good days and bad days. I still think about my wife every day. I have a picture of my wife in the truck. I still live in the same house she passed away in. I walk past the room she passed away in. I sleep in our same bed every day. So it just gets less hard.
I feel like easier is not the correct word, right? Because it still hurts, but time's adding on to it, and you're able to cope with it and handle it a little bit differently.
Yeah.
And I think you said something about, like, you still have your ups and downs, and that's something that I personally am still working on, truly understanding and realizing that's just the average part of life.
Yeah.
Because I just want everything to be peace, love, and happiness, right? Like, I don't want these ups and downs.
Yeah.
I just want smooth, and a hippie. I just want to be a fucking hippie, living a good life, right? But everybody has good days, bad days, and then a lot of it is also just your mindset, right? Like, if you are used to saying, well, Mondays suck, here comes Monday, it's going to suck again. But it doesn't have to be that way.
No.
And it's all our mindset.
Yep.
And I'm in this weird phase in my life. I call it that I am shoot, what word did I say? Transitioning. No, that's not it. Anyway,
Metamorphosizing.
thank you.
There we go.
That I'm like metamorphosing from my old me to my new me.
Uh-huh.
I don't like where I'm at right now because life's weird. Everything, every perception that I had up until this point, it's like, it doesn't even fucking matter. Life fucking matters. But what happens to you or what you do and go through doesn't truly matter to the degree that you think it does, right? Like if you're struggling with something, we'll go with me, right? I'm struggling with finances, right? And like I feel like if I miss a payment or whatever the case may be, the world's over. That's not the case. The world's still gonna go on.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Like it's just my perspective and the importance that I have put onto these different aspects of my life.
Yeah.
So it's very interesting to me.
And speaking of financially, at first I was worried because I went from from 2 incomes to 1. And fortunately, Beth was able to pull all her, what she put into the retirement system. She literally paid off every single bill, brought me up to 100% even keeled. I had no credit cards until I had to get one because half of her ashes I spread out there in San Onofre Beach. And in order for me to go to Camp Pendleton, make your reservations, and I was using my bank card, and then they said, we don't accept bank cards anymore. I'm like, what do you mean? Well, they've changed the system to where you have to have a credit card. And I'm like, oh my God. So what do? I call my mother-in-law. Mom, can I borrow your credit card? I can't make this reservation without a credit card. She goes, I don't have one either. I'm like, oh my God. Fortunately, my sister-in-law was there. Here you go. Use this credit card. And then as soon as the bill comes in, pay it off. And I was like, forget that. How much is it going to cost me? It was like $500 for the weekend. I just sent it to her. I Zelled it to her.
There you go. Look at you growing, man. I'm so proud of you. All right, let's dive into your journey with PTSD, not your business. Where can we find your website? Where can we find your photography?
You can find my photography on Facebook, Christopher Boats Oshana. Instagram, it's same thing, Christopher Oshana. I think that one. My PTSD project, just Google PTSD, the invisible scar, because it's PTSD, the invisible scar .portfolio.something.com or whatnot. So PTSD, the invisible scar, it'll bring me up. It's amazing.
Okay, you want to share a little bit more on that?
On my project?
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh my God. Since I started it, the first 10 were the most difficult. Of course, COVID came in and then it stopped everything basically. But for the last year and a half, I have been able to photograph another 10, 11, I think 12. I've now photographed 35 veterans.
Okay.
And taken down their stories. Oh my God. Bro, one of the guys, I think he was the 11th or the 12th person that I photographed. A very good friend of mine. He and I were stationed together on Dam Neck, which is Fleet Combat Training Center Atlantic Dam Neck back in the day. In 1989, we played softball together. He was on the auxiliary security forces, and I was base police. So we had one team, and he and I were good friends. I transitioned out to my next ship. He transitioned We lost contact. All of a sudden, 2005, I'm literally writing Army contracts for them to come in. And the recruiter goes, "Go see Bolt, he'll take care of you." And that's all I heard, because I'm looking at Danny's paperwork. And by the way, it's Danny. He comes sauntering over, and I look up, and I'm like, holy shit. And he was the same way. He's like, oh my God. We had Old Home Week. We lost track again because he deployed to Afghanistan or Iraq. I can't remember which. I think it was Iraq at first. And then he saw my PTSD, the Indivisible Scar Facebook page, and he was like, oh my God. So we sat down and we had a good hour and a half conversation.
That's amazing.
Yep.
It's always good catching back up.
Oh, yeah.
What have you learned from this?
What have I learned? I've learned that every one of us are different. Every one of us cope with the PTSD differently. But the biggest thing is we need to learn to be able to talk to each other. Something is starting to boil inside, go find somebody. Talk to somebody. Whether it's a brother or sister, whether it's the 988 freaking PTSD suicide line. Whatever. Talk to somebody. Ensure that you are talking to somebody.
Absolutely. Now, this is going to be a more personal question for me that I'm curious about, but like, you sound like you were an amazing husband to your wife. Did that come natural to you? Did you have a mentor? Did you read, listen to books, audios, anything? Or you just knew how to fucking make your wife happy?
No, I did not.
Okay.
Didn't do any reading, didn't do none of that. Beth made it easy for me. You know, we were total 100% opposites. I mean, she drank once in a blue moon. Didn't smoke. She was, to put it to you like my brother-in-law would, she was the golden child. She was the person you would want right next to you. Whether you're having a good day, bad day, ugly day, whatever. She made my days easy. You know, she was amazing.
That's awesome. I'm so happy for you to hear that. I'm just trying to learn still. So.
No, yeah, you're good.
What about on days? The one day out of every 2 years that you were upset with her, how did you handle that to not allow it to affect the relationship anymore?
Oh, don't get me wrong. We had our arguments.
Okay.
Oh yeah, I've blown up on her and she blew up on me. You know, we'd spend 3 or 4 days apart ish. I'd be sleeping in my office and she'd be having the bed.
Okay.
But it was that we had kids. We didn't want to throw a stupid thing, a little piddly ass thing. We didn't want to make it grow into a boulder.
Right.
You know, we talked.
Okay. And so during those times when you were in the office, did you just stay by yourself? Did you reach out to somebody? Mm-mm. Like, did you conquer your thoughts yourself then? Like, oh, this is it. Like, this is the last time she's throwing me out or I'm throwing myself out.
Yeah, I did. I would never talk to anybody.
Okay.
Because my entire family was back east. You know, I don't.
Oh, yeah. And cell phones weren't around back then either, huh?
No, I was never good at reaching out, and I still to this day I'm not good at reaching out. Heck, my brothers and sisters are always mad at me. Oh my God, I'm always calling you. How come you're not calling us? And I'm like, I just don't.
Were any of your siblings in the military?
Yes, as a matter of fact, my oldest brother did, I can't remember how many years, in the Connecticut National Guard. My youngest brother did one tour in the Marine Corps and then finished his career as a National Guardman, but he was AGR.
What's that?
Active Guard Reserves.
Okay.
So he was active. He was a reservist,
But doing active duty.
Yeah, but on active duty, and he's right there in back home.
Okay. Because I was trying to see if there was a connection to, like, maybe that's just, I feel like I'm that way. I like to talk to people, but I'm not always reaching out to my family or my friends all the time, right?
Yep.
So I was just trying to see if there's a connection, because, like, when you pick your shit up,
Yep.
one day you're living at home, everything's normal, and the next day you're forced to have friends, a family of 100 people.
You know, since when Beth passed away, I had the entire family was there. They were there for me, and I know they're still there for me. But when my best friend Chris passed away, again it was me, Rich, and Chris. Rich and I, now it's Rich and I. We have started reaching out to each other if we're having a bad day. And it is so freaking amazing to be able to say, just to text, dude, I'm not doing well today. Brother, you need anything? I'm there for you. I'll be there. You know, it's just having our connection now has made me realize a lot more to be able to reach out.
Right. I think a huge part of that also is or for me, it would be recognizing that I'm truly not alone. I preach that shit all the time, that you're not alone, reach out.
Yep.
But then, like, I feel like I'm in this different class, that like things are different. And then it's just, it sucks to hear it, but it's also good to hear that people are in the same situation, or like their marriage has this struggle, or their life has that challenge, and this is how they do it. So, like, I'm sure with your photography and your PTSD documentary, it probably helps you, because, like, this podcast, I feel like, is a form of therapy for myself as well, because I'm sitting here talking to you, I'm learning about your life, and, like, I'm asking questions, but I'm also taking all that in and learning on how to become a better person. Or let's say you were still drinking all the time and I didn't like that shit, so I was like, okay, well, that affected him this way, so now I need to take that out of my life so I can improve. So it's just nice.
As long as you're learning on a day-to-day basis from anybody you talk to, in my opinion, you're growing.
Right.
You take the crappy shit, throw it out to the wind, and then you keep the good pieces, and you cultivate those.
Right. It's better to have a select few amount of friends than just everybody's your friend, right?
Yeah.
Because then you're only at the surface level with people. I'm not that kind of person. I don't just want to be a surface level friend. Like, if I'm your friend, I'm going to tell you when you're fucking up. I'm going to tell you when you're doing great. I'm going to pick on you. Like, that's just how I am. I'm learning it doesn't work so well with some people, like my personality, that, like, we want to be friends. But, like,
shoot, it doesn't even don't even work that way with brothers and sisters.
Right.
You know, I've had to deal with that with my parents passing. You know, so it's like it's now the five of us, and we still are different, and it's like, come on, this is all we got.
Well, that's the huge point, is, like, no matter how similar we may be, we are so truly different. And then no matter how different we truly are, our feelings, our emotions are so similar. And we got to keep that in mind, right? Like, just because I can joke with you that way or you could joke with me that way doesn't mean vice versa. And all that. So I need to be more aware and more in control of myself instead of just thinking I could just show my true self all the time.
$10 word here. You being cognitive of what you can say and what not to say, to who and who not to say it to, that is so, you have to learn that.
Right.
It is very difficult.
Yeah.
You know,
my old boss that I looked up to, and I still look up to him, he used to say awareness is $1 million word. And I was like, yeah, it's a fucking $1 million word, whatever. Yeah. And I understood what he was saying, and I agreed with him. And then now that I'm truly aware of what he was saying and what he means by that. Like, yo, awareness is $1 million word.
Yeah.
Because I think there's a difference between being aware to where you know something to the awareness of understanding.
Yeah.
Because when you know something, yeah, cool. Like, I know I shouldn't be drinking today, but let's go pop them open, you know?
Oh, yeah.
But then when I'm aware and I know, all right, well, dude, I'm done drinking now.
Yeah.
So before we wrap anything up,
Cool.
Boats, is there anything that I have missed that you would like to touch on? Any wisdom you want to shed?
No, listen to what's going on around you.
Be aware.
Be aware, talk. Don't be scared to talk. You got that one person. Everybody has one person that we can share everything and anything about what is going on, what we are feeling or not feeling or whatever. Talk to that person. Reach out.
Absolutely. Never feel like you're alone. Somebody's always out there for you.
Yep.
And last time, I want to shout out your PTSD, the Invisible War.
PTSD,
Scar.
the Invisible Scar.
Okay. And one more time, tell us how to find it.
It's on Google it,
Okay.
PTSD, the Invisible Scar. Go to my Facebook page, Christopher Boats Oshana. I also have PTSD, the Invisible Scar Facebook page. Oshana Digital Productions is my other website. And yeah, Google that. You'll see what some of my landscapes from my pictographs. I love going hunting pictographs. Oh my God, that's so much fun. But a lot of my photography is up on there.
What's a pictograph?
A pictograph is ancient rock art, Indian rock art.
Okay.
Where they've carved it into the rocks.
Yes, sir.
Yep.
All right, Christopher, well, thank you for coming on the show, brother. I really appreciate you.
Thank you.
Thank you for letting me learn from you.
Thank you very much.
Absolutely.